Today, let's experience the adventures of Manon Blackbeak. You'll of course see how iconic, terrifying, and unforgettable she is, but I also want to explore the actual cost of her transformation. This video is for those who have already read the Throne of Glass books or don't mind spoilers, so be warned. With that out of the way, buckle up. It's hard to imagine, but Manon wasn't born scary. She was the child of a forbidden union between her mother, Lothian Blackbeak, and a Crochan named Tristan. Lothian hoped that her daughter's mixed blood might finally break the ancient curse on the Iron Teeth. But instead of embracing this hope, the Blackbeak matron intervened in the most brutal way possible. The moment Manon was born, the matron murdered them and stole the golden-eyed baby. Manon was raised to live a lie, disgusted by the Crochans she doesn't recognize as her own people. It is utterly heartbreaking when we look back at Manon's first kill. It was a young Crochan witch. The worst part? Manon didn't cry. Why would she? She felt absolute pride. She claimed the slain girl's red cape and wore it as a trophy to prove her strength and loyalty. She spent years parading the death of her own people like a badge of honor. It is also what drove her to forge her own powerful coven, the 13, out of the strongest young Iron Teeth witches. From the very beginning, Manon was never just a cherished heir. She was a ruler, a weapon molded by a grandmother who was desperate to suppress the truth and control her potential. When Iskra Yellowlegs shoves Manon into the wyvern pit, it is supposed to be a death sentence. Manon survives. But instead of claiming a flawless, mighty beast, she claims the scarred, battered bait wyvern that just tore out the champion's throat. She names him Abraxos. She doesn't claim him out of pity. She claims him because she recognizes a fellow survivor, a warrior. And she doesn't gently nurse him, she arms him. She reinforces his ruined wings with spider silk and welds iron fangs and tail spikes into his flesh. She is an Iron Teeth witch forging a weapon, promising him that together they will stain the kingdom red. But Abraxos is the first choice Manon makes for herself, and it creates a fracture in her ironclad world. During the War Games, she saves Petra Blueblood's life. She watches a dying wyvern sacrifice itself out of unconditional love for its rider. Then comes the execution of Rhiannon Crochan. Manon is presented with the battered, bleeding rebel as a gift. She expects curses. She expects begging. Instead, Rhiannon smiles through broken teeth and delivers the ultimate insult. The Crochans pity the Iron Teeth. She tells Manon that they were made into monsters by their matrons, not born that way. Manon's reaction isn't a tearful awakening. She doesn't suddenly go soft. She simply grabs Rhiannon by the hair and spills her throat on the floor. She takes her red cloak, dumps her old one on the corpse, and walks away. She does exactly what she was bred to do. But the damage is done. The Crochan's words lodge like a splinter in her mind. Manon remains cold, hard, and ruthless, burying the pain beneath her rigid discipline. But as she sits alone in the mountains afterward, she feels a heavy, terrifying sense of regret. For the first time in 116 years, the White Demon recognizes the bars of her cage. When Manon arrives at Morath, the rules of her world change. She is no longer dealing with clean abstractions like clan rivalry or military rank. She is forced to stare directly into the face of systemic horror. Yellowlegs witches are chained to tables, used for Valg breeding experiments to birth demon offspring. And the darkest truth of all? Her own grandmother is eagerly helping Duke Parrington build this nightmare. This is exactly why Elide Locon becomes so essential to her arc. Elide makes the pity personal. When Manon tests the frail servant and asks if her blood runs red or blue, Elide chooses blue. By placing the girl under her protection, Manon makes a monumental moral choice. She is beginning to decide who counts as hers, and that protective circle is expanding. The illusion shatters completely when Asterin reveals her deepest, most guarded secret. The stillborn witchling, the brutal beatings, and the Blackbeak matron branding her own blood as unclean. Manon can no longer pretend that Iron Teeth brutality only lands on their enemies. It devours its own daughters, too. By the time she crosses paths with Dorian Haviliard and senses the human prince fighting beneath the Valg darkness, by the time she battles Aelin Galathinius to a standstill and walks away with a life debt between them, the foundation of her worldview is irrevocably broken. So when Morath literally explodes around them, Manon doesn't just save herself. She and the 13 risk everything to rescue Elide and smuggle her to safety. The shift is complete. Manon Blackbeak is still lethal, but her blind obedience is dead, and her neutrality is gone forever. In Empire of Storms, the cracks in Manon's conditioning finally shatter. It begins when she defies her bloodline to save Dorian Haviliard during the sack of Rifthold. As punishment, she is put on trial, but her grandmother doesn't sentence Manon to death. She sentences Asterin. It is the ultimate test of blind obedience, but as Manon raises her blade to execute her fiercely loyal cousin, the 13 do the unthinkable. They give her the silent, sacred salute of a witch queen. In that single, breathless moment, the long-building truth hits Manon. She has a heart, and she would rather die than butcher her own sisterhood just to remain a compliant weapon. But that defiance costs her everything. To break her, the Blackbeak matron weaponizes the truth. Manon's father was a Crochan prince. The matron murdered both her parents to steal her away. And the most devastating blow? The rebel witch Manon executed, the one whose red cloak she still wears as a trophy, was Rhiannon, her own half-sister. In seconds, the identity Manon built her life upon collapses. She is not the pure-blooded Blackbeak heir. She is the last Crochan queen, the living, breathing bridge between two peoples bred to annihilate each other. Barely escaping Morath on the back of Abraxos, her arc irreversibly shifts. She finds herself in the company of Aelin Galathinius. When they step into the ancient witch mirror together, they don't emerge as sudden friends. They emerge as something far more interesting. Two women who recognize each other as queens, carrying blood-soaked histories far bigger than themselves. When the 13 finally track her down, they don't reject her for her mixed blood. They choose her all over again. And Manon makes the decision that defines her endgame. They will find the Crochans, and they will fight for a better world. Through it all, Dorian Haviliard remains the one person who draws true vulnerability out of her. But the story deliberately leaves their future emotionally open. A raw, quiet promise of hope for a witch who finally learned how to feel. Then Kingdom of Ash asks the final question. Can Manon turn transformation into leadership? Not just personal change, political change, historical change. She searches for the Crochans with the 13 and Dorian. She finds Glenys Crochan, her great-grandmother, and earns trust the hard way. She recruits defecting Iron Teeth by exposing her grandmother's power grab and by letting Asterin tell the truth about what Blackbeak cruelty did to her. She kills the Yellowlegs matron, reclaims the Crown of Stars, and is finally accepted by the Crochans as their queen. Then she lights the flame of war and summons them to Terrasen. That is the external victory. The internal one is harsher. By arriving at Orinth with thousands of Crochan witches, Manon proves she can unite what history split apart. But leadership in this series is never free. The battle closes in. The final witch tower threatens annihilation, and the 13 yield. Not one by one, together. Asterin's last command is simple. Live. The tower falls. White flowers bloom where there was blood. The curse on the Witch Kingdom is broken. And Manon survives into the role she has spent 4 books becoming. Not Blackbeak Heir, not Crochan's secret, but Queen of Witches. She wins her people. She loses her home. It's not that Manon was a noble person hiding behind a mask. She was genuinely cruel, complicit, and fiercely loyal to a vicious system. What changes is not her capacity for violence, it is the direction of it. Her redemption isn't a sudden change of heart. Her identity is dismantled piece by piece. It starts quietly, when a battered wyvern teaches her to care, and a frail servant gives her someone vulnerable to protect. Then, the ideological foundation of her world begins to rot. Her half-sister's pity plants the first seed of doubt. Asterin's branded flesh proves that Blackbeak cruelty freely devours its own daughters. Aelin shows her that a queen can be terrifyingly lethal and still be morally purposeful. And Dorian Haviliard invites her to experience raw honesty and desire, stripping away the fear she was raised on. She ceases to be a weapon wielded by her bloodline and transforms into a living bridge between sworn enemies. A queen who chooses duty over doctrine, taking absolute accountability for her own violence. And when the 13 turn their final lesson into the ultimate sacrifice, yielding their lives so their queen might live, Manon finally understands that love is not a weakness. Its price is deep and brutal, but it is the toll you pay to find meaning. The ultimate tragedy is that for Manon Blackbeak, her reward for becoming fully human is to experience absolute grief. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helps your imagination take flight. If you enjoyed the ride, bless the algorithm with a like and subscribe so I can keep these coming. See you next time.